Hey everybody, Dead Spikes here, and today I'm making a short little video talking about how to see scaling in Elden Ring Nightreign. So if you are a prior From Software gamer, and you're used to your builds and using the scaling factor to increase more damage based on the weapon types you are using and such, I'll kind of go a little bit into that too and how scaling even works. But I'm just going to cover how to be able to view it on Elden Ring Nightreign. So, there are two different areas you can view it. The first one being the sparring grounds. This is where you can test your weaponry and your abilities of all the other characters. And just kind of do general attacking, see what you like. In this area, if you open up this chest and you go to your armaments, you can click Y if you are on controller. I'm not sure it is on keyboard or mouse, but on the bottom you can see Visual Codex Info. If you click that button, on the bottom right you can see Attribute Scaling. Now over all the weapons you are looking at, you can see the different types of scaling. And what this kind of means is the higher letter, so D being the worst, going up to A and then S being the top, that stat is going to get more damage. So for instance, let's look at this weapon right here. It has an S in Dex, so a character that scales high in Dex is going to get better damage out of this than a character who scales low in Dex. So now that we can see how the weapons scale, how do the characters scale? Well, that is very important. So to be able to look at that, you're going to want to open up your Select menu, and you're going to want to go to Visual Codex here. When you're in there, you can click your characters, and you could press Y again to switch around the screens, and you can see your attribute distribution on the bottom right. Again, D being the worst, going up to A, and then S being the top tier. So you can kind of skim through your characters, and we can see, ooh, Iron Eye has an A scaling in Dex, so that means Dex scaling weapons are going to tend to do more damage on Iron Eye. That's what you're going to want to use. And then you can look at some of the other characters. So Raider, a very common class people have been using, has an S scaling in strength, so weapons that scale high in strength are going to be very good on Raider. So you kind of want to match the two, right? So you're going to want to find a character that has a high scaling and the stat that you want to use. So if you want to use strength weapons, which would be like great swords and axes, you're probably going to want to use something like Raider or Wielder. And if you want to use Dex weapons, you're going to want to use something like Iron Eye or Executor. And you kind of want to match the two. Obviously, you can't pick your weapons when you're in the runs, but if you happen to be playing Iron Eye on a run, look for more Dex-based weapons, which are going to be like daggers and katanas and so on. Unfortunately, at this time, I have not figured out a way to look at scaling while you are in a run, which I think is a miss by this company, and I hope that in future updates they do add it to the game. I do think it's silly that you cannot pick up a weapon on a run and look at what the scaling is. You kind of just have to have memorization, which is unfortunate. Maybe people will be using apps in the future or extensions on their computers to be able to flip over and see what a certain scaling is of a weapon to see if that's what they want to use for that run. Or I think it should just be implemented where you can check. If it is and I do not know about it, please let me know in the comments, and I might even take this video down or pin the comment. That would be crazy to figure out, and I would love to learn that. But also on this Visual Codex table, there's equipment, so you can see all of your armaments here as well. You don't even need to go to the sparring grounds, and you can kind of just compare the two. So you see your equipment scalings, and there's Faith, Intelligence, and Arcane as well. And yeah, Faith and Intelligence are mostly going to be towards your spellcasting characters, like Recluse. And you can check your spells here too, but they don't really have scaling. It's just the more FP cost, the more damage it'll generally do is how they work. The last thing I will mention before I end this video is if you want to go even more in depth on how the scaling and stats work, or just the things on your weapon, you can press right stick down. On the bottom left there, you can see there is an option, a button, click for help. You click that, and it will tell you what every single thing does. This is not on the characters page, but it is on all the armaments, so you can read what all of the different stats do on every single part of the weapon. So if you want to read the unique effects of the legendaries, this is how you can do so. And there you go. That is how you look at weapon and character scaling in Elden Ring Nightreign. If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Maybe subscribe to the channel for future content. In my Discord, I have been linking up with a lot of friends, so if you are interested in playing Nightreign with other people, do think about joining my Discord in the description of this video. Otherwise, I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Spikes out.